Start videos.
Oh, okay. Can I, okay, stop share. Can I bring the share down here somewhere? No.
Yeah, you can see.
Where?
Yeah.
But now they are seeing this. Huh?
Yes.
Stop share lah. Okay, and then now I am on video. I'm still on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam wabarakatuh.
Exactly 9 a.m. And inshallah, we should start without much problem. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Okay, yesterday we talked about many things, and today inshallah we will continue where we started. I talked to you yesterday about several things. First of all, I defined what is a textbook. Secondly, I told you the difference between an academic book and a textbook, looking at the purpose of writing textbooks and purpose of writing academic books and the audience that we are addressing. Academic book addresses a different kind of audience, and textbook addresses a different kinds of audience. And then I told you the difference between also textbook and academic book in terms of the materials, in terms of the efforts that go into it. That's where the whole thing comes in, because academic book or research papers, they are science-based, they are based upon research, and they focus on one particular point. So, but if you go to the textbooks focuses on everything within a discipline. So if, as I said, I'm in political science, if I'm writing a textbook on political science, then I will cover everything in political science. So in my book, I wrote Introduction to Political Science. I covered what is political science, what is a brief history of political science. I also talked about 4 different subsections of different specializations in political science. And then I went into various topics. I also talked about comparative politics. I talked about international relations. I talked about United Nations. I talked about civil societies. I talked about elections, everything under the sun in that discipline. So it's a comprehensive thing, so that a person who reads the textbook, one textbook in one discipline, then he has the full idea of what that discipline is all about. Okay, and it will help him choose what you want to choose. I remember one student, he came from America, and he registered for my course on Introduction to Political Science. He has never taken political science. His emphasis was on psychology. His emphasis was on psychology, and then he took my book. He bought a book, and then he listened to my lecture. And after reading the book, he came and said, "I have decided to change my specialization area. I'm going to register for political science. I'm going to specialize in political science." Now, this helps students whether they are going to specialize in one particular area, because you are giving them full information about what this particular subject is. And it is therefore not focused on anything, it focuses on the discipline as a whole. Whereas when you write a research paper, it will be on one thing. So if I'm writing, I wrote article on elections in 2018. Okay, I wrote an article on elections in 2018, and I concentrated only on elections, nothing else. What is election? I didn't say what is election because I assume everybody knows about it and elections. So I told them elections is started here and that 2018, this is the election. In the election, so many political parties took part and they had the manifestos. These manifestos, they differ from one another each. And then thereafter, so what happened, who voted and who did not vote, and finally who won and who lost. That was the whole thing. And by the way, let me give you a slight hint. Let me tell you a slight thing. If you are interested in getting your article published in reputable journals, okay, reputable journals, what you have to do is you have to write the article and finish the article before anybody else does and send it immediately to the journal. The journals are waiting. So when I wrote on 2018, okay, I targeted it. I started writing on 2018 election before the election started. And I started writing. On the eve of the election, I finished writing the paper completely. And I was just waiting for the result. Next morning, the results came in. I took the results from the newspapers and others, and I also went to the Election Commission's office and I took the result from there. I prepared the table and then I put the table and explained a little bit. And the next day I sent the article to an ISI journal. Immediately, the moment they received, within a week, they wrote, immediately, of course, they acknowledged that they have received. Within a week, they said, we are going to publish it. They had it reviewed and the reviewer said it's okay. And so they are going to publish it. The reason why they published it is very simple. It's hot cake. Everybody is waiting. It will be read by everybody. But if you delay, if I had delayed writing the article for 3 months, then somebody else would have written. And if I sent it, they would say, sorry, we have already published. Okay, so they will not publish. So if you have a hot topic, and you want to publish it, of course, everybody wants to publish it, then make it hot. Okay, the moment it is done, that very moment you send it, and it will be sold like a hot cake. Okay, so if you are interested, if you are dealing with any contemporary topics, okay, finish it at the neck of the time and submit it, and that will have, they will forgive you for whatever mistakes you make. Okay, the good thing is that they get it first. So any journal is waiting. So 2018 election, the Journal on Asian Survey, published from University of California, Berkeley, was waiting. I immediately finished it, I sent it, and they accepted it. Now that's an ISI journal. So this is how it is done. But if you are delaying it, then the another trick, another strategy for getting it published is to rely upon your unique data. So if you interview and then you write a paper based upon interview, they would love it. They would love it because it is original. Nobody has written on that one and you are writing on it. Nobody has the information. You alone have that information and nobody else would have that data which you have given. So that makes it unique, and therefore that unique information is very important. They will do it now, but you have to be careful. Your sample size, when you are interviewing, your sample size has to be large enough. It has to be large enough so that it can represent the entire population, whatever population you are talking about. Okay, and it should be small enough so that people can understand very easily. So you have to get those data and do it. Now, again, the third strategy is when you are doing original research based upon your created data, go for quantitative research. Put numbers. put figures, do the calculations, use it. Okay? Quantitative research is more valued than qualitative research. These are the tricks of publishing it. Quantitative based, a quantitative article is valued more than a qualitative article. If you are a young man, as I am, okay, I'm only 76 years old, but I'm younger than many people, okay? If you are younger than me, then go for quantitative data, quantitative articles. It's very easy, you know. And let me tell you one more thing. Quantitative articles are easier to write than qualitative articles. Quantitative articles are easier to write than qualitative article because qualitative articles are sometimes, most of the time, subjective. Okay? Most of the time it is subjective, and you have to go through so many different strategies, so many different ways in order to convince people that what you are saying is right. Okay? But quantitative article talks by itself. And let me tell you very simple. It's very, very difficult and time consuming to write a qualitative article. Very, and it's very meaningful because qualitative article goes deeper into the area that you are talking about. It's not based upon surface. Quantitative article is very shallow, based upon surface, but you can see. So it is the seeing versus the feeling. People want to see rather than feel. And in the West, they love to see, they don't want to feel because they don't have anything called feelings. So these are the few strategies that you use. Now, when it comes to the textbook is most often secondary sources. Not most often, always it is secondary source. It's never a primary source. Okay? And it's based upon secondary sources, and you write it. The purpose is to promote the discipline. The purpose is to let people know what the discipline is about, and then you invite them so that they join your discipline. Once they join, then they can go into special areas that you are talking about. So that's why I said younger people should write quantitative articles, publish it in Scopus and ISI journals. I don't care. Let me tell you one thing. I don't care about Scopus. I don't care about ISI. But the fact is, why I don't care? I don't care because it's a money-making business. ISI and Scopus, these are all money-making things. They don't ask you to pay. Scopus and ISI journals will not ask the author to pay for publishing their articles. It asks the institutions to pay in order to buy. So any institution which buys, and if you are working in that institution, you stand a better chance of getting a good reception from their journal. Okay, so they make money from there. However, the fact still remains that the Scopus and ISI journals are very, very high quality journals. And therefore, we should always target those journals, ISI and Scopus. And even among ISI, you have 4 categories, okay? Lower quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the highest level. So this is how we did it in IIUM. In the early days, I'm talking in 2000, say around 2010, 2009, 2010. Okay, the university used to pay the lecturers who used to publish in ISI journals and in Scopus journals. They used to give 2,000 per article, just to encourage you to publish more and more and more and more. Okay, and some people used to earn only about 2 or 3 years. It continued when we had a lot of money, but when the money stopped, then they stopped paying us. I'm saying all these things that younger people, therefore, they are not encouraged to write textbooks. They are encouraged to specialize, to write quantitative and quantitative articles based upon created data if possible, okay? Or if not, making data. Available data, you should not rely so much on it, but if necessary, you can. And if you can put it, again, available data also is quantitative. You can also do it and publish it. In terms of promotions also, they carry more weight than the books. Okay? Articles in ISI carries more weight. Articles in Scopus carries more weight than articles in other low category journals. Okay? And definitely articles carry more weight than the books. So try as much as possible, try to publish it. Now, yesterday, after I finished talking about it, when I said these things, when I went there, I was trying to buy my lunch from the shop. I was standing there, and then three of you came. Three of you, those who attended my lecture. One I knew very well. The other two were I didn't know. So the three of them came and said, Prof, how are you? We enjoyed your lecture. And now we have decided we will not write textbooks. I said, I don't want to discourage you completely. But if you have decided not to write textbooks and to substitute the textbooks with 3 or 4 articles, alhamdulillah, I don't mind. But I didn't want to discourage you from writing textbooks. It's necessary, it's essential, and we have to write. Okay, you may not be able to do the good job. Therefore, why not you join together, do the co-authors? Okay, have one or two older people with you, and you do all the rough job, and he will be sitting there giving you directions, giving you advice, etc., etc. And publishers would be very happy to see a textbook co-authored by 2 or 3 people, but don't go for more than 3. Okay, don't go for more than 3 authors. That's how they are very sensitive. Two authors, they are happy. 3 authors, they will be okay. But more than 3, they will become allergic to it. So I'm not discouraging you from writing textbooks. As a matter of fact, we need textbooks. We need more textbooks than we have. There are many departments in this university where there are no textbooks. Number 1. Please note this very carefully. Number 1, there are not many textbooks in the departments. There are many departments where you will not find any textbook. How are the students going to learn? They will rely upon foreigners. They will rely upon foreign texts. And foreign texts are not meant to, of course, they cover the discipline, but they are promoting their own interest. All the textbooks written by Westerners, they promote their own interest, they promote their own culture, they promote their own areas of interest. We in IIUM, we are supposed to do the same thing. Why not? But we are not doing it. We are copying others. And believe me, the reason why Muslims are poor is because Muslims are not doing research. In their own areas, they rely upon others, they copy others. And of course, we have professors like me. That does not mean anything. The professors, I became professor by following the West. I didn't become a professor by following my own culture, by following my own values. In this IIUM, we have to promote our own values. We have to promote our own culture. So textbooks, we have to write our textbooks, but we also have to include our culture, our values. You know, I did not want to write a textbook on introduction to political science. Why? As I said, I was more interested in articles rather than in textbook. So, and there were ready-made textbooks available. In political science, we had a textbook, very old, Roddy Anderson and Crystal, three of them joined together and they wrote a beautiful textbook. And that was very popular. And we used that textbook. So when I came in, I used that textbook for 6 years. I never read that textbook. I never read it. All I looked at was the table of contents, and the table of contents cover all the areas that political science covers. So on looking at the table of contents, I went to the classroom and I delivered my own lecture on that particular topic. I never read the Roddy Anderson Crystal's textbook until my friend came from Canada and he asked me to write a textbook. I said, why should I write another textbook? He said, have you read that book? I said, of course I have seen the table of contents. He said, no, please read the textbook and then tell me, excuse me, and then tell me that you are happy. So I read the textbook. I read the textbook for the first time after 7 years. I was shocked because the textbook was not talking about political science. The textbook was talking about American politics. So they talk about elections, but it is American elections. All the examples come from America. They talked about civil societies. All the examples come from America. Okay. They talk about, of course, when it talks about international organizations, of course, it is the United Nations and others. But even in the United Nations, the emphasis is on Security Council because America is the permanent member of the Security Council. So all these things came. And then 2 days later, my friend came back and he said, what do you think? I said, sorry, La, that is not a textbook on political science. It's a textbook on American politics. But it doesn't say it. It says political science. So we all did that one. And then he said, don't you think we should write one? I said, yes, but I'm not interested. But then he forced me. He said, no, we have to write. So we ended up writing. When we were writing, he said, the focus is on Islam. The focus should be, of course, we will not neglect America. We will not neglect UK. We will not neglect the Western world. We will emphasize our own. We will talk about Malaysia. Nobody talks about Malaysia in the American textbooks. So we will talk about it. In American textbook, you will see a lot on Zionism and a lot on Israel and others. And my friend was very allergic to Israel. He said, we will not even mention the word Israel. I said, no, we have to mention that one, but we have to tell them that you have to be careful. That's how we ended up writing the textbook. You must also write textbook. We need it. It's essential, absolutely essential for this university and for the world. Islamization of knowledge. This is the philosophy of this university. Islamization of knowledge. If you don't write textbook from an Islamic perspective, how are you going to do it? How are you going to promote your own values? How are you going to promote your own culture? And the Westerners are very much allergic to the word Islam and Islamization of knowledge. I'm sure you all know that they raided IIIT in Washington, shut down IIIT for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then they said, you cannot use Islamization of knowledge anymore. So IIIT does not use Islamization of knowledge. So they talk about Islam and social sciences and Islam. They talk about, they don't talk about integration also. Okay, they talk about relationship, they talk about influence of this, influence of that, but they don't talk about Islamization of knowledge. IIUM, mind you, and write it down, put it in your heart. IIUM, the International Islamic University Malaysia, is the only university, is the only place where Islamization of knowledge is fully recognized, fully respected. And therefore, we have to write textbooks so that people know. Our textbooks, does it mean that if you are doing Islamization of knowledge, your textbook on political science or your textbook on history or sociology or psychology will be any different? No, we will cover everything that the Western discipline covers. We will infuse our own values here and there where it is appropriate, And that is why we need it. Unfortunately, we don't have many. Okay? So please, if you can join together, if you are capable of doing it, go ahead. Everybody will be very happy and will reward you for that one. If not, co-author with somebody and write textbook from an Islamic perspective. From an Islamic perspective means you, the best thing would be the way I did it. For me, what I did was I brought in the concept of, say, election. What is election? And elections were explained from what the Westerners have said. How do they define elections? What is it that they are asking for? And thereafter, I looked at elections in America, elections in Canada. I also looked at elections during the period of the Prophet ﷺ. Were there elections? What was the nature of that election? Then when I talked about political parties, what is political party? I explained everything which you will find in all the American textbooks and others. I told them and I followed and I explained everything so that you will not miss. You will not miss anything on elections or on political parties written by Western writer. But having explained that one, I said, okay, are political parties allowed in Islam? What has political parties to do with Islam? Should we follow that one? Should we argue? And I brought in the arguments from Quran and Sunnah and others and weaved into it so that nobody should have it. Excuse me. I founded the journal Intellectual Discourse in this university. Intellectual Discourse is a journal which is, alhamdulillah, still alive. I founded that journal. It came out in 1994. And the reason was very simple. I wanted to encourage all my colleagues in the university to publish. Not many people are publishing. This is the most saddest part of this university. Not many of our colleagues, they write. Not many of our colleagues, they publish in top journals. And this is the reason why we do not get it. So some people wrote and then they submitted the article, not publishable. And then one of them came to see me. He said, Prof, why are you not publishing my article? It's a very good article. I said, yes, brother, it's a good article, but because it's a good article, you should publish it abroad. You should publish it in any American or British journals. Why here? And he said, no, Americans and British, they will not accept this article because it is praising Islam. And therefore, they will not accept it. So I asked them, I said, okay, why don't you abuse Islam and write it and publish it? Let me see. He said, no, it will never do. I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. But he never did, and the article was never published because it was not written well. Okay? It was based upon his think piece, whatever he thought about Islam and what he thought is going on. It's his thinking. There was no data, no information, nothing. When I wrote my first textbook, I called it simply Political Science. And it was written, I started it in 1992 and I finished it in 1994. 2 years after I wrote it, I showed it to some of my colleagues here, my dean and my deputy director, Professor Kamal Hassan, and they all saw it. They all appreciated it. They said yes, because this dealt with Islam as well as the West. So I sent it to Macmillan. Macmillan, after 2 months, they wrote back saying that yes, your reviewers have reviewed it well and they want to publish it. However, we are not happy with the title of your book. The title was Political Science. It's a very general title. People will not be interested in it. So please change the title. So I changed the title. I went and I consulted my dean. I said, what should be the title? So the dean said, okay, let's make them happy. Say comparative perspective. So I wrote Political Science, a comparative perspective, because I was comparing West with Islam. I sent it to Macmillan and they said, no, it's not acceptable. I said, so I wrote to them, I said, it's a comparative perspective. The title reflects what is in the book. He said, no, we are interested in selling the book, and therefore we want the word Islam on top of the title. If the word Islam is on top there, then the book will sell and we will make money. They are interested in making money. So I showed it to my colleagues and they all said, okay, why not you say Islamic perspective? So I said, okay, Political Science and Islamic perspective. And I sent it to them. Immediately they accepted it. They said, this is a beautiful title and we will be able to sell the book. From that day until today, they are selling the book. Okay? So the Westerners are not against us writing on Islam or from an Islamic perspective. We do not write it. And if we write it, we do not write it in a way it should be written. And that's why our articles are rejected, our books are rejected by publishers. So please write well, follow the methodology of writing, go for quantitative materials, even in your textbook I'm talking about, go for quantitative materials, bring in materials from here and there, bring in data, and write in good, legible, grammar-free, error-free English, and get it published. If possible, get it published from abroad. If not, publish it from Muslim countries. You can do it, okay? We have so many different places where you can do it. And as I said, Springer is very much interested in writing about, interested in publishing books written from an Islamic perspective. Macmillan, as I said, publishes my articles whenever, my books, whenever I send it to them from an Islamic perspective. They insist on it. And therefore, you should also go ahead and please write. Please write, if not singly, but again, priority is on articles. Believe me, priority is on articles. But we also need textbooks, and therefore you should try to write textbooks and then show it to your colleagues. What's wrong in that one? Show it to others. I have written this one, have a look at it, this and that, and get comments from others and then improve it, then publish it. We need it, okay? So when we are writing textbooks, our focus should be on Islam, okay? But we are not neglecting it. This is the major problem in it. We are not converting people to Islam. Islamization has nothing to do with conversion, okay? We are evaluating things, whether we can accept things from an Islamic perspective. That's all there is to it. It's just like light. We did not invent light. Can we use the light from Islamic perspective? Does it harm us? Does it hurt us? Is it allowable to use electric light? Is it allowable to use air conditioners? Is it allowable to use water purifiers? Okay? So from Islamic perspective, but we are still writing on that one. We are still approving it or disapproving it depending upon what we see. So please do not get discouraged. Write. Writing is essential, and you have to write textbooks. Textbooks are essential. Go for co-authoring. Okay? Go for co-authoring, and please write to promote our own culture, to promote our own values. All the things we are not rejecting. Remember this: Islamization of knowledge is not a demolition exercise. Okay, we are not demolishing the West. No, sorry, not. What we are doing, we are taking West as they have given to us. We are analyzing it, seeing it whether it fits in with us. If it fits in, we take it as it is, no problem. If part of it is defective, part of it does not fit in, we modify it a little bit, but we still accept it. Only when they go directly against our religion, against our values, against our culture, which we cannot accept anymore, then we reject it. And that rejection is only very minor, 20%, 2% to 4%, 2 to 4% is total rejection. The rest is acceptance, but accept with Islam in the forefront. Okay? Any questions so far? If you have any question, please tell me and we will go for it. Any question?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Walaikum Assalam, Prof.
My name is Maisara, and I'm from
Maisara is also my daughter's name.
I'm from psychology.
Oh yeah, wow.
So my question is about writing Islamic perspective textbook. Okay, how does writing a textbook with Islamic perspective of a discipline that a textbook without Islamic perspective differ in terms of its pedagogical or andragogical structure?
Say it again, please.
How does writing an Islamic a textbook with Islamic perspective differ in terms of its andragogy or pedagogical structure?
Okay, not much different. Let me give you a very rough and a very easy example. Okay, I see your picture. Is it you? Yes. Okay, Maisara, I see your picture, and you are a lady. You have all the qualities of a lady. You are very gentle, very beautiful for that matter, and everything is okay, except that you have a tudong. Does it make you any different from others?
No. Really, no.
It shows you that you are a Muslimah, but everything else is there. You are also speaking English. Yes, tell me.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, does it make you different from others?
No, except for the fact that I'm a Muslim.
Yes, and that is all we want. A Muslim. I was talking to Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, the second rector of this university. I was talking to him one day. I was asking him the same question, and then he said, "Brother, what is the difference? The Americans have the nose, we have the nose, they have the eyes, we have the eyes, they have the mouth, we have the mouth. They eat, we eat. We are all human beings, except that we don't eat pork. Does it make us any different? No. We have our own choices. We make our own choice. They make their own choice." And then he showed me a pork. He said, come to my office. And then he showed me a pork. He said, pork, when you cut, do you know what is inside? You will see the worms inside coming out. And they eat that one, but our religion does not allow us. So the fact that we do not eat pork, does it make us any worse than what they are? No. It's our own culture, their own culture, our own values, their own values. So something which I cannot accept, my culture does not accept, I will not take it. Otherwise, I'm a human being, just like them. Is that acceptable to you or not?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You are a good Muslimah, very beautiful, very well covered, and you are a good human being. That's all it counts in this world. Huh? Yes? Somebody said something. All right. So becoming Muslim or becoming Islamic does not make you change anything. And yesterday, what? Yesterday, somebody came from America, and he came and he became a Muslim. What changes? He said nothing. Nothing changes except that I will not eat pork, I will not drink alcohol, and I will pray. I'm a human being just like them. They go to church, I go to mosque. What's the difference? It's in your perception. It's in your perception. Do things right. And once you do things right, you will be okay, inshallah al-Aziz. Any other question?
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, welcome.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Rashid.
Hey, I don't want you to ask any question.
I will be asking question, Prof.
Yes, please.
The journal you founded.
Yes.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Intellectual discourse.
Yes.
Sometime we, Prof, we want to submit papers for publication, but they charge a lot of money.
I know.
That's why it actually discourages us to submit our paper to that journal or some other journal. We publish somewhere else.
Yes.
So I have some difficulty to somehow to accept this kind of money business for generation of knowledge. And money these days, Prof, the journals they cannot sell. So there can be maybe some little bit of service fee, publication fees. But if you charge exorbitant amount, that actually hinders us from submission. So, Prof, any comment on this? Thank you very much.
I think, I don't know what to say. I feel very bad about it. I feel bad about it myself, not only you. I'm no longer in charge of the journal. And I left the journal in 2012, I think. I left the journal. I gave it to somebody else. It was Prof. Nuraini who took it. And at that time it was going on. And then Dr. Kabir came and he took it. And now it is run by Prof. Ishtiaq. Yes, the university asked that they should charge because the university could not afford to publish the journal free. I have all along been against this idea. I have in my life, Prof. Rafiq, in my life, I have never ever published anything by paying a single cent. Never, until today. Okay, until today, I never pay anything. Even when I still write in intellectual discourse, I send them, alhamdulillah, they respect me, and therefore they don't ask me to pay. They publish it, okay? And I asked one of the editors, I said, why do you publish my article free and others? He said, Prof, we publish your article, then the journal will sell more. We'll make more money from there. So not only intellectual discourse, also Ash-Shajara, published from Istak. Okay, Ash-Shajara is also charging money, intellectual discourse, and they charge 2,000 ringgit, to be frank, to tell you very frankly. And I don't know what to do about it. If I have my way, I will never publish anything in those journals if I have to pay. I will not pay a single cent. If they want to publish, they can publish it. But why do I have to? Why do I have to publish in intellectual discourse? I'm not discouraging you, but why do I have to publish? Now, the reason is very simple. Intellectual discourse is a Scopus journal. Intellectual Discourse, Ash-Shajara is an ISI journal. So they carry weight and therefore they charge you. There are other journals which does not have any weight whatsoever. They will publish anything, you just send it to them. Sometimes, of course, because our lecturers, they need to be promoted. They need to be promoted. They have to publish. So they publish in all those low quality journals. Sorry to say, because they want to show that yes, they have published so that they can be, they fulfill the requirement of promotion and they can be promoted. But if I were you, I wouldn't be publishing those places. If I have the capability to publish abroad, why don't I publish there? Prof. Kamal used to tell me when he was the rector, he said, Brother Rashid, please do not publish here. Okay, publish in America or anywhere else so that IIUM's name goes there. Very simple. And those journals, they accept. And I want to emphasize this part. Those journals in the West, they will accept any article which is of high quality, they will publish it without question.
Yes.
Whether it's on Islam or not.
Yes, Prof. Actually, I totally agree. Like you, I also have never published anything by paying, and I'm totally against it. So now, suppose Intellectual Discourse or Al-Sajara or some other journals, they charge you and you don't send them. You don't send their article to them. I don't send the article to them. But our article could be of high quality. So they are actually this actually repelling this publication fees, exorbitant publication fees, repelling from accepting good quality papers. Then how you are going to position the journal into international level?
Yes, I talked to Prof. Ishtiaq and others. I said that can we not get rid of it? He said no, we cannot, because the university does not pay us money. The university recovers money of journal from the authors, those who write. Okay, I said, then why are you publishing my articles and others? He said, those are quality articles we received. Last issue, I think they published my article and Prof. Usman Bakar's article. They said, look, these two articles, they will sell. They will be very popular and people would come to know about intellectual discourse. And therefore, we publish it. But other articles are of low quality, we still publish it, but they are reasonably acceptable. But these articles, if you send it to America or anywhere else, they will not accept. So we have to compromise somewhere. I don't. There are many American and British articles, journals. If you are good, send them. If you get published, what's wrong there? There's nothing wrong in publishing in American and British journals. I love to publish there. Same goes with publishing in publishing your books. We have IIUM Press helping you to publish books. They are encouraging you to write, to publish, but they are not telling you that you should not publish from Macmillan or Springer or others. You should. The rector, our rector, he recently wrote an article and he sent it to Springer for publication. But he also sends it to IIUM Press for publications. Okay, so it's up to us what we want to do with ourselves. We don't want to complain. We don't want to blame. Okay, people are doing things. I will do the way I think is right. And my thinking is very simple. I write quality articles and I publish abroad. And if they want it locally, I will give it to them if the journal is good. Okay, and intellectual discourse is good. The Shajara is good. Okay, there are one or two other journals, they are good. I will publish them, no problem. But I will not pay. Why I will not pay is very simple. I spend a lot of time in writing an article. Sorry, I don't spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of my life in writing an article. If I spend 3 months of my time in writing, means 3 months of my life is gone. Do we understand that? It's not time, it's money, it's life. 3 months of my time is 3 months of my life gone. I will not get it back. So if I'm going to live for only 60 years, 3 months from that 60 years is gone. I spent 3 months of my life. I spent a lot of money which I have earned by working into writing that article, into making it in a form, and then I sent it to them. After doing all these things, should I pay them also? It's a shame on me if I do that. But do you have the capacity?
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Prof. Thanks.
Is that satisfies you, Prof?
Yes, yes, Prof. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So please publish it. As long as you can publish, it's okay. We will follow that one through. Okay. All right. So we go back to the textbook. Today, I want to talk to you now about the book itself. When you are writing a textbook, what should the textbook look like? Okay. When we are talking about the textbook, we look at the things. Can you see the parts of a book? The book has several parts. There's a spine. The spine is on the corner of the book. I will show you that one. And then there is a spine. And here, this is the spine here. You see here, it says fortify your soul, you know, in the, after the, this is the cover page. The cover page is here, okay? Cover page, fortify your soul, 40 letters to friends, 40 letters to friends seeking purpose and peace, okay? Now this is the title. This is the cover page, and the cover page contains the title. The title is Fortify Your Soul, 40 letters to friends seeking purpose and peace. And then the title also covers, the cover also covers the author's name, very bold, okay, very bold. And after this, the book also has a spine. This is the spine. And this spine, you have to be very careful, make sure that the spine is very clear and easily visible so that people can read, because when it is put on the shelf, what you see is the spine. You don't see the cover or the back page. You don't see that. So you see this spine, and always put emphasis on the spine. I have seen many books where there is no spine. Okay, they just leave it blank. Okay, but that is not a good book. If there is no spine, insist on spine, and spine carries the title of the book, your name, author's name. If there is a space, full name. If not, they will put the last name, and then the press where it is published, the logo only, so that when you put it on the shelf, people can see that this is the book. This is easy to recognize, and this must be there. I have seen many, as I said, many books. And if you are self-publishing it, then they don't put this one at all because it is a little bit expensive and they do it. But make sure that all your textbooks that you write have this spine. And the spine is absolutely essential, and we must have it. We are also talking about the title. Title must reflect the content of your book. Must reflect the content of your book. Here you can see this is a very good title here. Fortify Your Soul, 40 letters to friends seeking purpose and peace. Okay, so this book contains actually 40 letters where he explains what is the purpose of life and how do you attain peace in this world. This is all about the soul, and it's highly spiritually oriented, of course. So this is called cover. The title by law, not by law, by tradition, title should be short and sweet. The title should be short and sweet. But it must express, it must tell exactly what the book is about. There should be no doubt whatsoever. Okay? So the title must reflect the contents of the book, number one. Number two, the title should be short, not long. Okay, it should be short. Number three, the title should not form a sentence, not be a full sentence. It's not written as a sentence. It is a title. Number three. Number four, the title should not exceed more than 18 words. This is a rule of the thumb. It is not thing, but it is rule of the thumb. They say if it is more than 18, then people better open the book and start reading rather than read the title. Okay? So the title has to be there. And most importantly, the title must be eye-catching. Should be catchy, but meaningful. Should be catchy, but meaningful. And we have to take care of that part. So remember this, the title must be short. It must not exceed 18 words. It must express. It should not be a sentence. These are the rule of the thumb. People do it all the time. Okay. The spine will carry, if the title is long, the spine should carry shortest possible thing, but it should also tell the main thing. What is the main thing of this book, 45 Years Old? It's the main thing is the soul. Okay? So in this spine, you can see it says 45 Years Old. It does not carry the other subheadings of other subtitle. Okay? The subtitle is 40 letters to friends. It does not carry spine, just talks about soul. And that is what it is. And the author, the last name of the author is there. Author's name must be clearly visible. Clearly visible. About 4 months ago, I saw a colleague of mine. He wanted to become a professor. A colleague of mine here. He wanted to become a professor. He has been serving this university for a long time, could not become a professor. And he applied 3 times before, and 3 times his application was rejected. Last time he was told that he does not have a book. So please write a book before you apply again. So what he did was he assembled some of his articles here and there, and then he put it in a book, and then he sent it to a publisher. Publisher refused to publish. What he did was, then he said, I will publish it my own. And he spent about 4,000 ringgit to publish the book on his own. Went to a local press, a local printing shop. And then the printing shop was very happy. He said, okay, you give me money, I will print this. But the local press does not know what is, his job is simply to print. So you give him, so the way you give him, he published it. Can you imagine that the book does not contain the author's name? And there was no spine. The author's name is inside the book, not on the title, on the cover page. How would people know who is writing? And therefore, the author's name should be very clear and it should be visible. It's not necessary that you must have the picture, but at least the author's name should be visible. Okay. Then there is a blurb at the back. This is the back page. Here, on this back page, you must introduce the book. What is this book all about and what it is not about, okay? And this book is very interesting. This book tells you very shortly, the book is about this. It is not, he says, it is not It is not about what people think about it, okay? So very short, and your brief introduction to yourself, brief CV would come here at the end of it, okay? Now, this is also essential. Now, some books, they do not carry all these things here. The introduction to the book and what it does and what it does not do. It does not carry these things here. Instead, it carries the reviews by eminent personalities, those who have read the manuscript and they have written. So those are things. So one of the book that's coming out next week or so, it carries 3 reviews by 3 different. So the author picked up the major sentences, 1 or 2 sentences from each of the reviewers, and of course he picks up those reviews which are the best, which praises the book. So they put it here, and those reviews, even though short, they explain what the book is about, and of course they praise the books. That's why the author wants to put it. So if you get famous people who read your manuscript and who has given comments, it's a good idea to put these things. So if you have a textbook, and if professors have read it, and if they have given you valuable comments on it, then put those comments here. Those comments will explain what the book is all about, and it will also praise you and praise the book, so that people would buy it. So it's a good idea. Your introduction to yourself, if there are too many, then your brief bio would go inside the back cover of the book, okay? So this is about the cover title. So this is the first part of the book. The second thing that I want to tell you about your book is the size of the book, okay? The size of the textbook. The standard size is 6 inches wide and 9 inches tall, okay? So 6 by 9, that's the standard book. And if this is the size, the printers, the publishers, they would like to print it because it's cheaper to print. 6 by 9 is cheaper to print. They do not waste much papers in there. So the publishers would like to publish it in a cheaper way. And it's easier to print. It's cheaper to print. It's easy also to read and easy to carry. Easy to carry, okay? So larger books would prevent students from carrying it with them. If it's heavy, may Allah help you, then and if it's a very big book, then it will not go into the shelf, and we want to sell the book. We want many students to read the book, and the publisher would like to sell the book. If your book is very heavy and thick, then it will not sell as much, and it will create more problem for the publisher. And we talked about this also. The books use font size between 12 and 14 points. Okay. The suggested thing is that the suggested size is Times New Roman, 12 points. 12 points Times New Roman, but 14 points is also acceptable for easy reading. But always use the Times New Roman. I like Times New Roman. I don't like Arial or any other things. I use, and all the books usually use Times New Roman. So we should use Times New Roman as we can. Here, as I said, I have given you the pictures here. Easy to hold. Page design, very, very important. Page design. Every chapter must look similar. The first page. The first page must be similar. It has to be consistent. And you cannot make any, it should not be very thick, very heavy, so that people can easily hold it, can show you, okay? And it should be very attractive. Very attractive. Remember this. Now, when we talk about attractive, we would like it to be color, okay? But if you ask the publisher to put color, the publisher would start thinking about it, because to color your things, it will be expensive. So they will think twice or three times before make it color. They will ask you, how many copies can I sell? This is the first thing the publisher will ask you. Okay, you have written the book. Who is going to read it? Of course, students will read the book. How many students will read this book every semester? That is the question that they will ask. How many students will read your book? If you can tell them that, okay, look, the book is prescribed book for all the first year students. Those who join the university every semester, they will have to read this book. They will, those who take it, they will have to read this book. And how many students are there? In my case, it was very easy. There were 10 sections. Each section had 50 students, so 500 students every semester. So I told them, I said, 500 students every semester in IIUM will read this book. So I said, oh, are you sure? I said, not sure. This is, I can show you the evidence that there are 10 sections of introduction to political science taught by many of my colleagues. We have 6 colleagues teaching 10 sections, and I'm teaching 2 sections myself. Oh, okay. 500 copies. So you think 500 copies will be sold? I said, no, 500 copies will not be sold. What will happen is that, yes, first time, maybe 500 copies. In the second semester, students are very clever. Some of them will photocopy it. Some of them will borrow it from their friends. Some of them will sell it at a cheaper price. So in IIUM, you can think about selling for, so not 500, say about 200 or 250 copies per semester. So per year, you are selling about 500. Oh, okay, we'll accept it. But then in my case, I'm giving you my own example, my own experience. My colleague who joined me to write, Professor Sirajul Islam from Canada, he's a professor in Canada. So he said, I'm also going to prescribe this book for my students in Canada. The publisher was sold completely. Publisher was totally amazed. He said, okay, so this book will go to Canada. Yes, it will go to Canada. It will go to America. It will go to UIA, and it will go to Canada. Other places, it's your job. Other places, it's your job. We are not responsible for that one, but I can guarantee you this much is here in UIA, this much in Lakehead University in Canada. Yeah, we are going to assure that this goes there. If we don't have 200, we'll have at least 150 to 200, because the publishers, when they publish a book, the cost is much less for them, you know. So if they can sell, say if they produce 2,000 copies, if they can sell 200 copies or 300 copies, that's enough. Their expenses are covered. Okay. So when they heard that this is going to be, immediately they accepted it. Similarly, they are going to ask you. So if the students, if you write a textbook heavy, cannot carry, then there will be problem. And it's a good idea. So my publisher said, okay, we are going to print it color, not black and white, printed color. But black and white is also acceptable, provided provided the things are clear. The picture comes out clearly and you can see it. So the chapter, as you can see in the third book here, the chapter, each chapter, if this is the design of the chapter, then each chapter, second chapter will have to be on the left side, and then the writing begins on the right side. In other words, this left side is meant only for the chapter number and the chapter title and some subsections. And you have to follow this style for the rest of the chapters. Then it would be okay. Otherwise, we will have problems with that one. This is about the size of the book, and it's about beauty of the book. The book has to be beautiful as you can. Make it as attractive as you can. Put as many things as you can inside, but it has to be there. Okay. So I said about spied cover, illustrations will come in. Okay, title is okay. Now, the title communicates the subject in a precise way. Okay, then we'll come to it later. There are 5 rules of textbook development. I want you to take note of that. These 5 textbook rules are as follows: rules of framework, rule of frameworks, rule of meaningful names, rule of manageable numbers, rule of hierarchy, and rule of repetition. Rule of frameworks is very clearly explained here. This is a roadmap. The text is very, very important, and you have to take care of that one. If you don't take care of that, then you are having a problem. So it's a map. It's a roadmap for students, and they would like to read it as best as they can. It has to be, the text is the framework is talking mainly about the text. The text is the best aid to understand the making this framework visible early on. So the framework, you have to show it very clearly what it is and what it is not. So the text, the rule of frameworks is talking about the text. The rule of meaningfulness is talking about consistent titles and terminologies used. You cannot use one title, one terminology here, and then you can use another terminology there. This happens especially with us, okay? Especially with us, it happens. I have seen a book whereby it's written from Islamic perspective, but they use the word Khalifa, okay? Khalifa, they use the word Khalifa, and in one place they put in bracket Khalifa means vicegerent. In another place they put Khalifa is the agent. Of course, the meaning is more or less the same, but you are using 2 different terms and it is not meaningful, okay? The names must be meaningful, and these names are critical, and therefore you have to recall and retrieve the things. Therefore, you have to be very, very careful. What are the terminologies you are using? What are the titles you are using? Those titles and those terminologies must be consistent throughout the book, okay? You cannot use one here and one there. It has to be same. Rules of repetition. Important concepts must be repeated. Yes, important concepts must be talked about. A subject you are dealing with, you have to talk about it. But remember that what are you repeating? What are you repeating? If it is very important concept, yes, you can repeat. But if it is of less utility, you don't have to repeat it. It makes it boring. If it is very important, yes, you must repeat. Tawheed is very important and you have to repeat if you need to. But if you keep on repeating the same thing again and again, then it becomes boring, and we have to be careful about it. The rule of hierarchy is very important. The rule of hierarchy is talking about what the student know and what you are introducing. Okay, the student, they would like to, they need understand the foundational knowledge. So if you are introducing a concept, say election, then you have to start by not assuming anything, but you have to start by telling them in the beginning, what is it? Okay, what is the meaning of election, why it is necessary, and then you go into the concept itself. The new terminologies, the new concepts should be done, but you have to go step by step, okay, from the lowest level to the highest level. Okay? And this applies also to your learning objectives. Learning objectives. We'll talk about it, learning objectives, later, but this also talks about it. So you have to go, again, in learning objectives, you go from the lower level to the highest level. Okay, we'll talk about the Bloom's taxonomy. In that taxonomy, you will go from lower to higher levels. Rule of manageable numbers. If you are introducing new materials, then be careful. New materials should not be 4 to 6 materials in one chapter. Should be clear. These are the 5 rules that we have to be careful when we are writing textbooks. Okay, these are 5 rules of textbook development, and we have to keep these terms, these things in mind. Okay, this is 10:18. Do you think I need a break? If you think I need a break, please let me know. If you think I don't, then I will continue. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, okay? 10:18 now. We will start at 10:30. Is that okay with you all? Please.
Yes,
Okay,
Prof.
Prof.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Boleh.
But I hope you are not running away. Haruna, I want to see your face. Can you show me your face?
Okay, Prof.
Please don't run away.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Haruna. I'll see you, inshallah. All of you. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Exactly 10:29. It's the time that we should start. Okay. Where is the share screen? Okay. Where is it?
This one, right?
Where is it? Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Let's go very quickly. We don't have enough time. I thought 6 hours was okay. 6 hours was too much, but then I realized that we need more time to go again. Okay. The book must have a glossary of terms. The glossary is very, very important. As your slide shows, the glossary contains definitions of difficult or unfamiliar words that appear in the book. Now, this is very, very important. The glossary contains definitions of difficult or unfamiliar words. And when we are writing textbooks and we are using Islamic, we are also trying to Islamize our textbook, then it contains many Islamic terminologies which even Muslims don't understand. Okay? So we have to have clear terminologies. We have to have clear terminologies and we have to have clear definitions of terms. Make sure that you do not confuse yourself. I saw a book where the glossary contains the word bi'ah. Bi'ah in Arabic, bi'ah means ecosystem, bi'ah means environment. But the author confused bi'ah with bai'ah, and so he or she put bi'ah, and then she says it's an oath of allegiance, which is totally wrong. And so we have to be very, very careful about it. And one more thing I should talk about here, it's not mentioned here, is that when you are using Islamic terms, okay, be careful, use diacritical marks as required. Okay? So if you are using Arabic terms, bay'ah, it is ayn, so ayn has to have an apostrophe on top so that people understand that this is bay'ah. So in order to make it Islamic terms, make it legible, make it easy to pronounce. Otherwise, people will have problems. So diacritical marks are very, very important, and we have to use it. Most often, I have not seen people using diacritical marks, even though they are using Islamic terms. So Islamic terms, you use diacritical marks so that people can easily understand, read, and pronounce, okay? And the meaning has to be very, very clear. So the glossary is definitely essential. Glossary at the back does not mean that in the text, whenever the term appears, is not explained. No, you have to explain the term in the body of the text whenever it appears. But the glossary will contain all the unfamiliar terms or difficult terms which you have used. You have to explain those terminologies, and therefore glossary is absolutely essential, and we have to have it. The next thing is about index. Index is also important, and we must have an index, but before index, we'll come to talk about later other things. The index must be in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, in alphabetical order, and all the terms, they should follow that alphabetical order. Okay, whether Islamic terms or non-Islamic terms, all these terms must follow alphabetical order one by one. And it's a good idea. You have to provide the page numbers on each topic that appears, as well as the subtopics. Under each topic, you will have subtopics. So you should also talk about this. The last thing is about the bibliography. Bibliography is traditionally the academic study of books as physical cultural objects. It is also known as bibliography. And Carter and Barker describe bibliography as twofold scholarly discipline: the organized listing of books, called enumerative bibliography, and the systematic description of books as physical objects, called descriptive bibliography. Okay, it has to be there, and bibliography again will be in alphabetical order, and it should appear at the end of the book, okay, before index. Index comes later, but before index, there should be bibliography. We'll talk
Prof, some authors, I have seen that they give the bibliography at the end of every chapter.
Yes, can, but yes, you can. But bibliography at the end of each chapter in a textbook is not recommended, because they say, because at the end there will be summary, and there will be questions, and there will be exercises, and therefore they keep the bibliography at the end of the book. Because if you put it at the end of the chapter, then there is a possibility of repetition. Same book may be referred again and again in other chapters, so you keep on repeating it. So in order to avoid repeating it, bibliography should be kept at the end of the book. Okay,
Okay, Prof.
okay. Number one. Number two, bibliography, I think I also mentioned it yesterday, bibliography should be separate, differentiated from references. Okay, references is a list of books or articles that you have referred to in the text. Nothing else includes. Because if you are using APA or other styles, then you are using only the last name and the year and the page numbers. But here in the reference list, you provide the full information about the book or article or anything that you have taken from. In bibliography, you include materials which you have cited in the textbook, as well as the books which you think is important, but you have not used it, which you think students would benefit from it, so you can list those things. So bibliography is more comprehensive and it includes more things, but the references are absolutely essential. Without references, your book will not be complete. Any question on that?
Prof, here I have one more question regarding citation. When we write articles, research articles, we cite authors a lot. Now, writing textbook, here I see that many textbooks, they don't cite at all. Even the American textbook published by Pearson, Chengage, they don't cite inside the text, but there could be some references at the, or bibliography at the end. But some books, they cite just like research papers. I was reading one research methodology book written by international authors. There are a lot of citation inside the text, just like research paper. So, Prof, what is your view in this case?
Okay, now I don't know who is doing what, but if the book contains quotations, you have to cite, definitely. If you are paraphrasing something from another book or another article, you have to cite. If you are summarizing, and most of the textbooks, they do summarize, you have to cite. If you are using facts, statistics, or data, you have to summarize. You have to cite. If you are using a visual, a photograph, a painting, a chart, a table, or graph, you have to cite. There is no two opinion on this. Okay? There are no two opinions on this. So all these things have to be cited. Now, what happens in most of the American textbooks and others is that they summarize all the information that they have, they summarize it, and then they put 1 or 2 citations. This is acceptable. If you are summarizing somebody's ideas, many ideas in one place, of course, in the textbook, we are summarizing the ideas that we have read all throughout our years. We have read so many things, we have done it. And therefore now a professor is sitting there, he is writing, he is not consulting books because he knows most of the things that he is talking about. All his life, he has been teaching the same thing again and again. So when he sits down, he simply talks and he gives on it. But he may not know, or he knows that he is summarizing the ideas. Those ideas are found in other books. So therefore, if the professors, they do not cite, people forgive them, but it's a good idea to cite. If you are summarizing it, the citation would be much less. If you are paraphrasing it, the citation would be much less. But if you are quoting it, you have to cite. If you are not citing it, that's what it called in Islam, it's called jarima kabira. It's a great sin not to cite, okay? So if you are quoting, definitely you must cite. If you are taking tables and figures, of course, there is no question. You have to cite. There is no excuse for not citing tables if you have borrowed the tables from others. If you have adapted it, you have made some changes, still you have to say adapted from such and such place. You cannot avoid that part. It's absolutely essential. Notes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Notes, you have to let your readers know where you got your information. You have to put a note, okay, I got this information from such and such book. Okay, fine. That's easy. If not, you have to cite. Now, in terms of quotations, also there are certain rules that we have to follow. Quotations are usually marked by 2 inverted commas. The rule is that if you are borrowing something from somebody, verbatim, you have to put 2 quotation marks. But if you are borrowing only less than 3 lines, not sentences, less than 3 lines, so that borrowing, that quotation will go inside the paragraph. Okay? If it is more than 3 lines, then you have to indent it separately. When you are indenting it, you will not put the quotation marks. This is very, very important. I have seen many textbooks where they have indented it and they also put the quotation marks, which is wrong. Quotation mark is to tell the readers that this I have borrowed. So if it is inside your paragraph, you put the quotation marks, people would know you have borrowed. But if it is outside the paragraph, it's separated, standing on its own, more than 3 lines, people can visibly see. They will say, oh, this is not part of his writings. It's borrowed from somebody else. So we don't have to do double things. Okay? Therefore, if it is less than 100 words, you do the quotation marks. But if the borrowed material is stand on its own, you don't have to have the quotation marks. Okay, you can stand on its own. All right, number 1. This is about quotation. About citations, what kind of citations would you use? Very simple. Either you use APA, or you use Chicago style. Basically, these are the 2 styles that people use nowadays. Okay? But even then, people are using APA more than that, and Chicago is trying to come very close to APA style as well nowadays. So the difference between Chicago and APA is that Chicago would like to put the Roman numbers in the text, APA would do the in-text citation itself. So you can do the index citation. There is nothing wrong. Okay? You can use index citation in order to cite. Okay. If you are using a word and you want to cite an author without, you have not mentioned which author, then you put the in-text citation, and then you put the author's last name first, followed by the year of publication. And if there is page number, you can put page number. Some people, they do not put page number because they are not quoting it, but they have taken it directly from some sources. Okay, so they, you see, summarizing it, they summarize the whole thing, and then at the end they feel guilty, so they put the author from where he has borrowed or done. Sometimes they put 2 or 3 authors together to say that he has benefited from these people. In that case, in bracket, you put the last name of the author, the year of publication, and you don't have to put the page number. Okay, but if you are quoting it directly, then you have to put the last name of the author, the year, and the page number. Okay, but sometimes you can see that you say, okay, I have found so and so there, David Easton. Now you have already mentioned David Easton defines. Okay, now when you have already mentioned David Easton, then you put the bracket. You don't have to mention Easton again. You just put the year and the page number, and then you quote him as it is. So if you are using the name of the author in the body, then you don't have to repeat it in the bracket for in-text citations. You just simply use the year and the page number. And this is the style which most people follow, and we should follow the same style. And this is the APA style. Now the seventh edition is out, 2019, the 7th edition, and you can follow that one. Any other thing that we want to talk about? I would be more than willing to talk about it. All right, now we go to writing style. Writing style. What writing style should we choose? What writing style should we follow? And there are scholars, they have mentioned four features of effective writing. Okay? 4 features of effective writing. Number 1, that's called easy to read. Easy to read. This is, for me, this is the most difficult part. This is most difficult part. My articles, when I read, when I write, my son, he reads it, he says, Papa, I don't understand what you are writing. The language is very of high standard, and I don't know how to read it, how to simplify it. But it is always the sign of scholarship. Let me tell you this very clearly, very frankly, and that I don't have that quality. The sign of scholarship is to write in English in the simplest possible language. I, you, etc., etc. Okay. Use it as simple as expression, as simple that, okay, human beings, people can done, okay. Use in a conversational language, okay. I speak differently than I write, but it would be a very good thing if I can write the way I speak, because when I speak, people understand very easily. But when I write, people have difficulty going through it. I don't know, perhaps because of my training. Okay, all my life I have been trained in English school. Okay, from English school I went to America and Canada and Britain and all those things. I have been living there, so I copied them, and it goes into it. Especially when I'm writing, it comes into it. But when I'm speaking, it does not go there. So when you are speaking to the learner, use I, we, you. These are the very simple words. Instead of asking, what is your, what is the nomenclature? You can simply ask him, what is your name? Okay, what name is there? And use always, they say you should use active voice. Okay, active voice. Say, for example, sentence, results will be published by the doctors in the next issue of the journal. Okay. You can make it active voice. The doctors will publish their result in the next issue of the journal. Okay, the book, the publisher will find a time slot to release the book. Okay, or to release the book in 2021. Say the book will be released in 2021. Easy, active, conversational style, very simple. And when you are explaining things, keep your explanation simple. Very, very simple. Otherwise, we will have problems. People will not understand. If they don't understand, then how are they going to do it? The terminologies that you use, the words that you use, make it simple, easy to understand. And what you write will be easy to understand if you have written it in such a way that the learner is clear with what you are telling them. Do not use words which have multiple meanings. And do not use sentences which give you different meanings. Use words, we always use it, unprecedented. Right? What is unprecedented? Why can't you say new? Walaikum salam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dah clear.
Huh?
Okay, nanti
Somebody from outside does not want me to speak English. So she is speaking Malay. Okay, boleh. Okay, so the class will commence. Why the class has to commence? Why don't you say the class will start? Will start is very easy. Can you facilitate? Hey, can you help me? It's better. Can you please help me? Or can you facilitate the use of this computer? Can you help me to use this computer? Okay. I have difficulty comprehending what you have said. Can you not use it very simple? Say, I have difficulty knowing or understanding what you have said. How much it cost is better than saying what is the expenditure. How much it costs. Can we learn? And I have not learned it. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you, yes, but I myself am not learning. Okay. The second aspect of effective writing is to make your writing interesting. When you are using principles or when you are using concepts, make those interesting and provide examples that one can easily relate to when you are writing it, or you can attract your reader's attention by telling a story first. Okay? Children, even the adults, they would love to read a story before they read it. And once you have told the story, and then you mention some of the statistics or the headlines in the newspapers, you can tell them. There are many, many ways of making your study interesting. Make it interesting so that they are attracted to it. No. Of course, when you cannot use the same thing when you are writing an article or others. An article, you are addressing it to other scholars. So when you are talking to them, you have to talk to them in their own language. But still, you can use very simple, very interesting language to do. I remember when I was a student, I was in the first year of undergraduate degree. I read the book, a very voluminous book written by Bertrand Russell, the Introduction to Philosophy. So beautiful. I read it and I enjoyed reading it again. And I never had to look into, if you write a book, and if I have to look into the dictionary every time I read one sentence, then what am I reading? Am I reading the dictionary or am I reading your book or your article? One of my colleague here, he wrote a book, and then the author, the editor of the journal, he asked me to review the book. Horrible. I did not understand a single word of what he said. He used bombastic words here and there, and every 2-3 sentences I have to look into the dictionary. What is the meaning of this? And does it make sense? Number one, when you are using bombastic words, you make it difficult for your readers to understand, number one. Number two, you make it hard. He has to open the dictionary in order to understand what you are saying. And thirdly, the bombastic words may have so many different meanings. Which meaning are you implying? You may think of something and you are writing something else. So when I reviewed that book, after reading 4 pages, I stopped. I stopped reviewing it. And then the editor met me after a week and he said, "Did you finish reviewing the book?" I said, "No, Prof, I did not." "Why?" I said, "If I review it, you will not publish it. And if you publish it, the author will never talk to me again." So that was the end of the story. And then the author, I met the author later, and the author asked me, "I was told that you are reviewing my book." I said, "Yes, I was given the book to review, but I'm not reviewing it." "Why?" I said, "It is full of bombastic words and I could not understand anything you said." And then he said, "Have you read any good book? If the book does not have bombastic words, then you are not a scholar. It's only a scholar who can use bombastic words. If it's easy to understand, then what is the purpose of becoming a scholar? Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can write. The purpose." And I said, "Sorry, if I review it, the editor will not publish it, and if it's published, you will never talk to me again. So better I maintain my friendship with you by not publishing, by not reviewing your book." And I still have that book, and my friend is still there active. We never talked about the book anymore. The thing is this: my supervisor told me that when you are writing something, you are writing it for people to read. Assume, that's the word he used, assume that you are writing to idiots who do not know English, higher level English. So you are writing it for readers, and you write it in such a way that even O-level students have no difficulty understanding it. If you can write it that way, try it yourself, okay? Write 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs and give it to your children and tell them to explain to you. If they can, then you are successful. If not, then you are having a problem and it will not be interesting. Then they will not read if they don't understand. Okay. The third thing about your writing style is that it should be interactive. It should be interactive. When you write, you want your readers to talk to you. I told you yesterday that in the library, when you go there, you are not reading books. You are talking to the authors. And this is the secret of reading. You take the book, you don't read the book, you talk to the author. You ask the author, what is it that you want to know? You tell him, I am asking you about this question, what is your answer? And the answer will be in the book. You will find out and you read it. If you read it this way, then you will understand better. If you simply keep on reading, then you will forget. Okay, so you must, in your textbook, you must include several other features, such as activities, okay? Self-check sections, okay? Exercises. Let them do the exercises so that they are interactive. Do they understand? They don't understand. You can also have multiple MCQs, multiple choice questions. Okay? In multiple choice questions, you are giving the right answer and the wrong answer. You are asking them. Okay, in this way, they will have it. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I was reading it. There were questions on Singapore. So there were MCQs, you know. Somewhere I read it, I don't remember. MCQs. What is the national language of Singapore? What is the national language of Singapore? And there's Chinese, English, Malay, and others. And the correct answer is Malay. Malay is the official language, the national language of Singapore. Okay? The official language is English. But so you interact with the students. You know, those who are reading it, you are interacting. And then you can ask them, okay, check for yourself, is that true or false? True or false is also another way of interactive things. You know, in this way, you keep engaging with your audience, okay? And one more thing is about the language you are using. Which language are you using? Are you American or are you British? That is the question. Are you American or are you British? Are you using American language or are you using British language? And this is, for me, this has been a major headache. You know, I'm trained in America. So I always used American English. But now when I'm writing books or articles, they insist, my publisher insists that it has to be British English. Now, should I spell organization with an I-Z-A-T-I-O-N? Sorry, an I-Z-A-T-I-O-N or an I-S-A-T-I-O-N? Now, the problem here is not simply that. The problem is that British, there are some terms British insist on having S only. Okay? But British, sometimes they use Z also, organization or something like this, where they accept both S and Z. That's where the problem comes in. And therefore, what I do, I keep a British dictionary in front of me. A British dictionary in front of me. And I tell them, okay, whenever I have confusion, I open the dictionary and I check it. But please, please, please check your language. Okay? Using American or British. I don't like American language, American English, because it does not make sense to me most of the time. L-A-B-O-R, labor, or L-A-B-O-U-R, labor. It depends upon it. I still remember I went to the British Museum when I was doing my PhD. I went to the British Museum and the British lady was there. I came from America. The British lady was there. So she gave me a form to fill in and a pencil. So I was writing it and I made a mistake. And I wanted to rub it okay? But I did not have the eraser. So I asked the lady, I said, excuse me. Yeah. I said, do you have an eraser? So, and then when I said eraser, she said, she told her friend, oh, this man, he does not know English. I said, no, I want an eraser. And then she was very clever. She said, what do you want to do, sir? I said, I want to clear this. I made a mistake. I want to rub it off. Oh, you mean rubber? I said, yes, rubber. So depending upon how you see it, vacuum cleaner or a Hoover, which one do you use? You have to be very clever, very clear, and you have to know what you are using it. So if you are cleaning, is it a vacuum cleaner are you using, or you are using Hoover? British would use Hoover. Americans would use vacuum cleaner. Honor, how do you spell honor? H-O-N-O-R or H-O-N-O-U-R, honor. So if you have these small silly mistakes, that affects you very, very badly, and we should be very, very careful about it, okay? Yesterday, I talked to you about the learning outcome, okay, or the objectives, writing objectives for lesson plans, okay? And I told you to use Bloom's terminology, Bloom's taxonomy, okay? The taxonomy, it goes from high to low. Knowledge is the lowest. Knowledge is the lowest level of, in Bloom's taxonomy is the lowest level, and then it gradually goes up. Level 1, they have 2 levels, actually 3 levels. Level 1, which is the basic level, has 2 terms, knowledge and comprehension. These are the 2 terms for it. The second level, which is a combination of both level 1 and level 2, is called application. And level 2 has analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, okay? So it goes from low to high. You can use these when you are talking to it. So you can say by the end of this chapter, you will be able to, or if you are not using it directly, you say students will be, but my preference is to use you and me and not other things. So by the end of this chapter, you will be able to, 1, identify, explain, determine, compare, analyze, evaluate, etc., etc. So you have to write those things there. Any questions so far up to here? If you have, please do raise, so that we have no problem whatsoever. Any question? Iswati? Prof. Rafiq, please help me.
Prof, this should be testable, right? These action verbs you mentioned.
Yes.
Testable.
They should be testable, yes, definitely. Okay, now we go into the outline of the textbook that we are talking about. Before you begin writing, please create an outline. Create an outline that details the topics to be covered in your textbook and how they will be organized in a table of contents. First of all, think about it, read books, talk to other people, and then sit down and write. Don't become people like me who just sit down and start writing whatever comes to their mind, and it's wasting time. So you have to be organized. So before you start writing, you sit down, what are the topics that you would like to cover, and how are you going to organize it in a table of contents? If possible, prepare a table of contents yourself. Consider the type of students who will be using your textbooks. Is it a first year, second year, third year, master's students? Even the doctoral students may read sometimes. So you have to consider all these things. You have to think about your audience, and you think about the classroom. This will save your time. This will save your money. This will reduce your mistakes if you are making any. And hopefully you will end up with a very engaging textbook. Okay, very engaging textbook. So you must have an outline, and that outline must include all the details needed to build and arrange your book. Okay? You recruit a copy. Recruiting a copy editor is okay, not bad. If you have somebody who's your friend, then you can consult him and talk to him and show him. If you have somebody who is an experienced person, there's nothing wrong going to that experienced person and show him the outline. Is this okay? Am I doing the right thing? Show it to your seniors and others. Copy editors can assist you in selecting a style guide, style sheet, okay, and which you will refer during the copy editing and proofreading phase. So go for the outline, textbook outline. Start with the outline of the textbook, okay? Then, in this outline, you have several matters that you have to consider. They say they have front matter, and they also have body, and you have finally you have the back matter. Okay, front matter, the body, and the back matter. What is the front matter? The front matter is the introductory section of your textbook. So there are, as I said, you have front matter. Remember that? Front matter. Everything that is included. And then you will have the body, and then you will have the back matter. So these are the three things in the outline that you will do. The front matter is the introductory section of your book. And this is the first thing the students or your readers will see. In the front matter, you have to include the title of the book. What is the title of the book? As I told you before, the title should be attractive, catchy. The title should be attractive and catchy. I was told and I was taught that the title should be divided into two sections, the main title and the subtitle. Okay, and my supervisor used the word, the title must be colonized. Colonized means you must put semicolon. Okay, so you say political science, colon, an introductory, an Islamic perspective. Okay, so now you have two titles. So you put them together, but with the colon in between. The publishers, when they publish your textbook, they will have a copyright page. What they call on the verso, on the reverse side of the title page. And that copyright page is very, very important for the publisher. And they include many things in the copyright. Okay. But it is the job of the publisher. You don't have to worry when they are publishing it, they are going to put it, they will put the How do you get the free copy of the book? How does that, what is the cover image, publisher's name and address, copyright notice, ISBN number is very, very important. ISBN number is very important, and you have to get ISBN number. Private publishers, they do not get the ISBN number, but most famous, most recognized publishers, they usually have, they usually obtain the copyright ISBN number, date of publication, and publishing history, printing information. Remember this, if you are publishing the book before July, say you are publishing the book this year, you have submitted it to the publisher, and the book is coming out in August 2021. Your book will not be considered to have been published in 2021. It will be published, they will put 2022, date of publication, 2022. Because the dividing line is not December and January. They use June. June, July is the dividing line. So if you publish your book, if your book comes out before June 2021, then they will put 2021. If your book comes out in July, August 2021, then they will put it 2022. This is the style. I don't know why, but they do it, but this is the job of the publisher. Then whether you would like to dedicate the book. If you want to dedicate the book, it is also in the front matter. You have to put the dedication. I want to dedicate my book to so-and-so, or this book is dedicated to my father, my mother, whatever it is. But some people write long paragraphs, but that is not what it is. Dedication should carry dedicated to so-and-so, so-and-so. You don't have to tell us why you are dedicating it. You dedicate it because you like it, okay? The person or people you have written or dedicated the book. You have to dedicate it. You don't have to explain why you are dedicating it. I dedicate to my mother, without whom I will not have been in this world. You don't have to write all those things. You simply dedicate it to my mother, but put the name of your mother, etc., whoever it is. The front matter also includes table of contents. Table of contents is very, very important. It is a list of all parts and chapters. Chapters and chapter sections, all on the page. It should appear together with page numbers. And this page number, as I think I told you, page number comes only after you get the dummy copy. Dummy copy is the copy which the publisher will prepare exactly the way the book will appear when it is printed completely. Okay? So they will create one copy and they call it dummy copy. It looks exactly like the book that is going to come out. So you see the book, and then you still have some chance to make corrections or some changes here and there. If you don't like it, you can tell them. This is called dummy copy. And so dummy copy is very, very important. In that dummy copy, they will show you the page numbers and everything, and you can make corrections, whatever corrections you want to make. Okay, so put the page numbers. And in that page number, you have to, in that table of contents, you have to include things. All the pages have to be included in the table of contents. And the table of contents are divided into two. One, which is usually the page numbers are put in Roman numerals, in italics, the forward, the preface, the dedication page, if there is any other, all those things will come in the thing, and it is in other words, and thereafter comes the chapters. So chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and all those things. And then it is, of course, you will have bibliography, and you will have bibliography, and then you will have index is also included in the table of contents. Okay, so index starts from which page to what page. You have to put all those things in the table of contents. Your table of contents will also include list of tables and figures. Please make sure that list of tables and figures and list of illustrations, these are all available. Okay, these are all available, and you should put it in the table of contents. So you will have usually they make 2 different pages or 3 pages. So first page, table of contents, the chapters and others. In the second page, they say list of tables and list of figures. If there are many, otherwise they would say list of tables and figures. In that one you include, but you put the title of the table or title of the figure and page number, title of the figure and the page number. Okay, so it comes there. As I told you also, you may have a foreword to your book. I want to warn you, when you're using the word forward, most people don't understand. They don't make difference between forward and forward. It is forward, F-O-R-E-W-O-R-D, forward. Okay, it's not forward, F-O-R-W-A-R. Forward means going front, but forward is the word that comes before the text. And forward, you have requested somebody who has written the forward for you. It's okay. So you request somebody to write forward, and you should put the forward. Some people, they want to show off that, okay, I have the forward. Forward, usually the person who is writing the forward will appreciate what you have done. Okay, and we'll give some reasons why you have written the book and why he likes it, and then he will appreciate. Therefore, and if he is a very big man, okay, is a very big name, then some authors, they put the name of the person who gave the foreword on the title of the page or of the book. At the bottom, they would say foreword by so and so, so and so, so and so. Okay? Just to show that this book is so. So if you're writing a book on IIUM, okay, the best person to give you a foreword is the rector or former rector, whoever it is. These are the important names, and people would say, aha, IIUM, forward by the rector, so this should be a good one. So he would put the forward on the front cover of the book. But usually it is not recommended. It is not recommended. Forward should be inside the book, not outside. Preface is also your job. You have to write the preface. To explain why and how you came to write the book. You have to explain that part. And they may also describe their expertise. What is your expertise in the subject area? You could also describe it, and not to brag about it. Okay, I am a professor and I have been writing such and such. No. This is not the way. You can simply say, okay, I have been teaching this course for a long time, and therefore I'm familiar with most of the things. And those things have been, in this way, people will have confidence in reading what you have written. So you should explain why it is necessary to write the textbook, why it is necessary, how did you come about writing the textbook. I wrote in my textbook, I said, I did not want to write the textbook, but I realized the importance of writing the textbook when my friend came and he told me that I should read some of the existing textbooks which do not explain. Therefore, I was compelled to write this textbook. Fine. So you tell us why. And preface is supposed to tell why and how you came to write that textbook. The another page is acknowledgement. Very important. Okay. List of individuals who have contributed and who have assisted you in writing the textbook. How did the textbook come about? Okay. It came about because of the support you have received from your friends. Who are those people? List them one by one, but make sure you list only those people who have seriously contributed in writing your book. Not that you talked to somebody and he said yes, he encouraged you and therefore you wrote. No. Encourage you in what way? Did he read the book? Did he tell you what to do, the corrections here and there? Or he simply encouraged you? No. If somebody gave you money, yes, you must write. If you have received some fund for research, yes, you must mention those things. But only the most important things. People also acknowledge their father and mother. No, please. Okay, my parents, you can mention them, but it is not necessary. I must also mention my father and my mother, but your father and mother did not write the book for you. Some publisher, they also want a small piece of 2 or 3 pages, on 2 or 3 pages on what? On introduction. You have to introduce, so you write introduction. In that introduction, you tell us what you have covered in chapter 1, what you have covered in chapter 2, chapter 3. Very, very brief. And it's not more than 2 or 3 pages. And they insist on it. Some they do not do it, but it's a good idea to have introduction. It's a good idea to have.
Prof, that could be part of preface, right, Prof? That could be part of.
They usually make the distinction. They usually make the distinction between preface and introduction. The preface explains why and how you come to write about the book. Okay, somebody requested you, you found something, so you write the circumstances which led you to do it, and you explain. It's about you. Preface is about you. Okay? You, why did you write this book? What made you write this book? Who do you think, who the hell you are? Okay, in a very bad way. Who the hell you are to write this book? Okay, you tell us about that one. But in the introduction is about the book. Introduction is about the book, how it came to be, what it is, what are the chapters, etc. Now, some people combine preface and acknowledgement together. Some people combine preface with introduction together. Okay, but these are separate things, and we have to know it. There is nothing wrong if you want to do the other way around. You can also do it, but the best thing is you keep them separate. There's nothing wrong if one page extra is added. There is no problem. Okay, so you must have it. Another thing which should be in the beginning is the list of abbreviations. These are all front matters we are talking about. Front matters, list of abbreviations, and their meanings is useful for the reader. So especially if it is an Islamic book, list of if you have used the abbreviations, remember the difference between abbreviations and the terms. International Islamic University Malaysia, bracket IIUM. So IIUM is the abbreviation. You should explain that one. Abbreviations. Okay. Tansri Zulkifli, he has several acronyms. Okay. He has the word called khair. It's an abbreviation of so many things together. You should explain what is khair, but not the Islamic terms that comes in. That will go into the glossary. Okay, we'll talk about it later. So make sure this is in the front portion. You have list of abbreviations, and you would do it. And sometimes publishers would insist on it, because publishers, before they publish, they get your book reviewed. They get your book reviewed. So the reviewer would also insist that there are so many abbreviations, I don't know. In the glossary of terms, the abbreviations will not appear. Remember that. In the glossary of terms, the thing will not appear. Abbreviations, therefore, abbreviations must come first, because people, when they are using it, of course, abbreviations must happen inside the textbook. So when you are using, say, the International Islamic University Malaysia, you put IIUM as bracket, okay? And then you go on. So it should appear, but then in the glossary of terms, in the abbreviation of terms, title is abbreviations, and then you can list some of the abbreviations that you have used there. Okay? These are the front matters, and you must do it. Then we go to the body of the book. Now, in the body of the book, you should decide what is it. How are you going to divide your book, other than what we have already discussed? So now I have finished the front part. Now we are talking about chapters. Okay, chapter 1 until the conclusion. Okay, we are talking about it. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to number the chapters? Are you going to number chapter 1 and then put the title? Are you going to put, okay, 1. Are you going to use number 1, or you are going to spell it, chapter 1, O-N-E 1? You have to be very, very careful. You should also ask, will your chapter will have separate chapter sections? If there are sections, then you must put those sections in the table of contents. It will be easier for students and other instructors who would like to use your textbook. So if your table of contents contains the chapter headings and the subsections, then it will be easier for students and for your colleagues who are going to use this book, easier for them to understand what it is. So, and make sure that you number and identify parts, units, chapters, and chapter sections, etc. Include these in the table of contents. You must also decide how long will the book be. As I told you, should not be too big so that you cannot. I asked my professor, how long will the article be? And he said, don't make it too light so that it flies away, and don't make it too heavy that I cannot carry. So the same advice goes here. Don't make your textbook so light that people would start throwing it here and there. Don't make it too heavy that people cannot carry. So in the body, you have to discuss all these things, the layout, style, length for each chapter and chapter sections. Decide what elements to incorporate, okay? Now, remember this, chapters. You cannot have a chapter with half a page or one paragraph. Cannot be one paragraph, one chapter. I have seen a book where one paragraph is one chapter. You cannot have that. Okay? Chapter must have some length. Chapter must have some things. Okay. Now, layout of your body, layout of the chapters, you must also look into it. Now, when you are talking about the layout, are you going to have learning objectives or not? Definitely you must have. Definitely you must have learning objectives or outcomes. Now the question is, how do you make the learning? Learning objectives must align with the content of the chapter. Okay, now learning objectives are usually at the beginning of each chapter. Usually there. It has to be there, usually means. So you must have it. This is essential. Secondly, you must have chapter introduction. Introduce briefly. When you are introducing it, go backward and go forward. Go backward means you can say, okay, in previous chapter we read this thing. Now we have to understand. We will extend that discussion, and in this chapter we will go it. So you refer to the students to the what have been done before. Now what you are going to do in this chapter, and this is how it should be done. So this is called chapter introduction. And as I said before, it should be made interesting and interactive. You should also decide, and you must include exercises. What exercise will they do? You must include questions, okay? Questions to answer. You can do that. You may quizzes. Yes, you can put quizzes or other methods to self-test. The students, they have to test themselves. When you are putting quizzes and others, you are not going to be there to check whether he has done it. So the student will have to answer those, do those quizzes and tests, answer them, and then they will read the book and see if what they have said is correct or not. Okay? This is called self-test during reading. And it will also be easier for the teachers to understand those things, those who will be using it. In the body of the paper, also we have, what is it? Key terms, yes, key terms. Key terms are the concepts that you are using. Those terms must be highlighted, make it bold. And those terms must be defined throughout the textbook. Okay, and at the end of the book, you can have a glossary. You can include those also in the glossary. Some people think that it is not necessary. Once you have defined, once you have highlighted the concept, once you have defined the concept in the textbook, what is the purpose of defining it again in the glossary? But some people say no, glossary has a different purpose. Okay, so you should do that one. Okay.
Prof,
yes, Prof.
Some people, they use italicized word also to highlight some important words.
Bole, Ken?
Can,
Ken, you can italicize, you can if it is the word lab, if it is the word, yes, you can italicize it. That is to, the highlighting means either you make it bold or you make it italics, so that people know it's different. This is a concept, this is something very important. You can highlight it. Some people underline it. Okay. Nowadays, underlining is not done. When I was writing it at that time, bold was not common. We did not have anything to bold, or the only thing we could bold it is to use the capital letters. But nowadays you have the bold available, so why do you have to use it? Italics have different meanings, of course, but italics can also be used to highlight it. So either you do the bold or you do the highlight, or you can also do the underline text. It's okay, possible, but it does not look very good when you underline it. So you can use those things. At the end of each chapter, you have to summarize. Remember this. Summary or list of key points or key takeaways. Okay, summary could be written in different ways. Summary could be in terms of paragraphs, but don't make it too long. Summary should be 1 or 2 paragraphs, not more than that. And some scholars, they suggest that summary should be in point form, easier for students to understand. Okay, all right, no problem. I can take that part from there. Okay, and of course, additional reading list at the end of each chapter. It should be there. A reading list at the end of each chapter. That should be there. We must do it. A reading list is very, very important. And make sure that the photos, illustrations, diagrams, what else? Graphs, charts, tables, all, as I told you before, must be numbered. So if you don't number them, you cannot put it in the list of tables and figures. Okay, so number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. It's easy. It's advisable that when you are numbering the tables and figures, you number it according to the chapter. So if it is chapter 2, and if you have 3 tables, then you say 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, but it has to be consecutive. Okay, figures also should be the same way. And I also told you last time, yesterday also, I think, the figure, the table must be titled. The title of the table will appear on top of the table. And the source of the table will appear at the end of the table, immediately. Okay? You cannot do it. Whether you are using Chicago or you are using APA, this is the law, that the source of the table must be at the end of the table immediately, and with page numbers and all the details, author, title, year, etc., etc. Okay, and page number should be given. If it is figure also must have the numbers, and figure, number, and the title will appear at the end of the. On figure, there will be nothing on top. Figure should be at the end of the. At the end of the figure, and source also should follow immediately. Okay, so you can say figure 5.7, the title of the figure, full stop, adapted from or taken from, whatever it is, or source itself completely. So you have to include that in your paper. What else comes in? Also, what is it? I was talking to Noman Ali Khan. Yes, I was talking to Noman Ali Khan about the book. We were chatting in my study room, and then he asked me, do you know how long it will take for your students to read that chapter? I said, no, I have not done that. He said, it's a good idea to take care of the time. Take care of the time. Time is extremely important, and we must teach students the time. So you can also mention that in the introduction. This chapter can take, for students, it will take 20 minutes or 30 minutes of time, etc., so that students know that time is important. One thing Noman Ali Khan told me is very, very interesting. He said, Prof, when you are writing the textbook, students, they learn not only by reading your textbook. Of course, they would read and they would learn, but also they learn by copying your writings. I said, what do you mean? He said, the style that you use Students learn from that stuff. So he said, if you have a table and if you use title of the table and the source of the table, students would see that one. And even though you don't tell them that you should put table here and source there, they will know and they will copy it. This is one way of learning. If you are citing somebody, you are not telling students that you must cite, but students see that you are citing, they would learn. So there are two ways of learning from a textbook. One learning is by reading the textbook. Second learning by seeing how the author has written it. So they will copy the citation style, they will copy the things that you cite, they will copy how you write the table. These are the things that are not emphasized in the textbook. You don't say, hey, students must read the textbook, see how I have written the table, how I have written the figures. No, we don't tell them, but they will see. So students learn from your textbook by reading the textbook, what you have written. They memorize it, they try to analyze it, they try to understand it, but by also seeing, and you're teaching them how to cite, how to do this, how to do that one. Okay, how do you explain these things? Okay, if you do not provide glossary and others, they will say, oh, this is not necessary. But if you provide glossary and if you provide abbreviations, they will see that, oh my God, this is very important. Even though you don't tell them, the way you have formatted your text teaches them. And this is very, very important, and we must appreciate that part. Now we go to the back matter. Okay, I have talked to you about the front matter. I have talked to you about the body. Now I'm talking to you about the back matter. In the back matter, there will be, if there is any appendix, if you have supplementary material for information, if you have it, you can put it in the appendix. If there are more than one appendix, if there are more than one instrument that you want to cite, then this is called appendices, okay? And you have to number them and describe for easier references, okay? If you have it. If you don't have it, it's okay, you don't have to have it. You must have a glossary of terms, list of keywords or terms used within the book, and their definitions. Very important. You must have this glossary. These terms must be listed alphabetically. And in the text, most of the authors, they will highlight it, okay? Highlight it. I would like to bold it. Prof. Rafiq would like to italicize it. Okay, no problem, okay? We give you the choice, okay? You defined it in text using bold or italics, okay? Nowadays, underlining is not preferred. So either bold it or italics, it's okay, etc. Another thing that comes in the back matter is the reference list. Okay, reference list notes all resources cited within the textbooks and lists them alphabetically by the author's last name first. Okay, so if you are citing me, so it will go as Morton, comma, Abdul Rashid. Okay, and then whatever. So if it is Rafiqul Islam, then Islam comes first, then Rafiqul comes later, and then you cite the book, except for the Malay terms. Okay, if the author is a Malay, then you have to use first name first, last name last. Okay, first name first, last name last. Okay. Other names, if it is Haruna Babatunde, it's Babatunde H. Okay, then you put the year and then the title of the book and other things. Okay, Malay, Muhammad Kamal Hassan, it has to be Muhammad Kamal Hassan. Cannot be Hassan Muhammad Kamal. This is accepted internationally that the Malay names must appear. In some countries, the The Arabs, names of Arabs are also first name first, last name last. But now it has changed. So Al-Ghazali comes as Al-Ghazali. Okay, it does not come before Abdurrahman bin etc. No. Al-Ghazali, and then you can write whatever else you want to write. So for Malay names, first name first, last name last. Then is there. For other names, last name first, first name last. Okay, and then you go with this one. As I said again before, it's a reference list. Reference list. If it is a reference list, so you put the reference list. But if you want, you can also have bibliography. But it will not be a good thing to put reference list and then the bibliography separately. So what people do is they simply put bibliography. In the bibliography, they include all the works used in the references within the textbook, but it also includes those books and articles not used in the book. The author thinks that it is useful, it is helpful for students to do. Okay, and this one will include everything else. Okay, what else? What else should go at the back matter? Do we have anything else? Blurb, of course, blurb. You have to write the blurb. Blurb is a short description of your book, very short, which comes at the end of the book, but it is definitely there. Author's biography is not necessary in the textbook. They don't use it, but some people include author's biography, half a page biography of the author. Most of the time, the biography of the short half page or quarter page biography of the author is to be found at the back cover of the book. Okay, at the end, they put that one, okay. Index. Indexing is very, very important. And we have to spend some time on indexing. Indexing is extremely important and we have to do it. And I would request that you please take care of indexing yourself rather than leaving it to the publisher. Don't leave it to the publisher. You do it because you know better which word and which is the explanation of that word, which is essential, etc., etc. Okay. This is all about textbook writing. And I learned more by telling you how to write textbooks. I urge you, please write textbooks. This university needs more textbooks. Each department needs textbooks. And please remember, the philosophy of this university is Islamization of knowledge. And you should write textbooks from an Islamic perspective. As I said before, Islamization is not a demolition exercise. Islamization is an exercise in acceptance, in acceptance, in adaptations, and in rejections. Three things. Islamization does three things. If something written by a Western author or Westerners, if it is in conformity with Islamic, we accept it immediately. We don't change anything about it. We will accept it. If there is something written by Westerners which is partly not acceptable, or there are some problems here and there, we will amend it a little bit here and there, and then we will accept it. And if, only if, when something is written which is totally against Islam, then we will reject it. And those rejections are very few, very few. And we have to be very, very careful. We tell them, we are not converting people. Islamization is not conversion. Islamization is to present our own culture, our own values, our own system. Everybody has their own values and their own system, and they would like to present it for themselves. Okay? Wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. If you have any questions, we still have about 6 minutes. Please raise or remain forever silent.
Assalamu alaikum, Prof.
Alaikum Assalam.
Okay, do you have any textbook coming up, Prof, that we can contribute like chapters? I think that would be very great for us also to contribute chapters.
Do I have any textbook? No, I don't have any textbook. Unfortunately, I am a guest writer in this university, and I don't have time at all to write any textbook. I keep on writing many things. Okay? And I have been more productive at this age than I was when I was of your age. Okay, but I'm writing books after books after books, and I'm writing articles because I love writing articles. So I love articles which I like it. I love articles, and because I'm working in the rector's office, sometimes rector would come and say, "Can I join you?" Okay, and I will tell him that you can join me if you contribute. You cannot join me simply because you are the rector. I tell him, and he is so honest. He says, "Okay, no. I have this right up here. You can. I think it is related to the area that you are working on. Please, can I join you?" I said, "Okay." And when I write, I will give it to him. He will do the editing. He does it. I don't know how he gets the time, but he does it. So I'm doing a lot of things. I don't have any textbook, but I do occasionally. I do compile works. Okay, I would like to work on Prof. Kamal Hassan and a Festschrift, and I'm asking any one of you, all of you, to, if you have something on Prof. Kamal Hassan that you want to contribute, you are most welcome, and I would definitely include it. Okay. If I have any other books, yes, I will write, and I would love to include it. And I write now, it is mainly about IIUM, because I want to preserve the history of this university. I love this university, and therefore I have written many books on International Islamic University, Malaysia. I have compiled many books on it, and I'm still writing on it. So if you want to contribute something, please write to me, send it to me, and I will find a place to include it. Definitely, there is no doubt about that. And if you write textbooks, and if you want me to go through it, I'll be more than happy to do that one, free of charge. Any other question?
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Any other question?
Prof, what about the language editing after completing the write-up?
They do not, if you send it to the publisher, they do not do the language editing. They do the proofreading. That's all they do. They don't look at the grammar. They don't look at the frequency, the flow of your language, others. They don't do it. It is your job. You have to do it yourself. Now, what happens? The best thing I do is when I write, I give it to my wife. I said, "Please read it and tell me if there is anything wrong." And my children are also there. I said, "Come on, go and write, read it and find mistakes. For each mistake, I will give you $2. Okay. Then they laugh and then they help me. But I also go to my colleagues. I give it to my colleagues. And my colleagues are very, very fierce. If there is anything wrong, they will tell you that this is wrong, you should change this, you should change that. Okay. So as far as the language is concerned, you have to have, there are agencies who look at your language and you have to pay for it. But staying in the university, why don't we cooperate with one another and help each other? Help each other. There's nothing wrong. If you have any problem, please come to me. If it's within my area of jurisdiction, I will do it. I will help you. And similarly, if I have problem, I will come to you. Okay? I give it to my colleagues. I tell them, please read it. Please see this one. Whoever comes, I tell him, I say, please read it. Can you help me? In my office, I have about 17 or 18 people there working. There are 4 or 5 professors. I tell them, please read this one, read that one. And alhamdulillah, they always help me. So get help. Language is your problem. It's not the problem of the publisher.
Okay,
Publisher,
thanks.
yes, yes. Publisher will not help you with your language. Publisher will publish if they are happy with your language. Okay. After that, they will give it to the proofreader, but they will not help you with language. Language is your job. You have to find out your problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much for your patience, and to bear with me is not easy. I must have made some mistakes. Luckily, nobody is in front of me, because most of the time I will make that person angry when he is in front of me, because I'm going to single out this or that person. Alhamdulillah, nobody is in front of me. So even if I have offended anybody, please forgive me. Okay. And if you have any comments on what I have presented, please do write to me. I think you have my address, Rashid Motan, very easy. One word, rashidmotan@gmail.com or rashidm@iium. You can write to me with your name or without your name. You want to abuse me, you are most welcome. If you want to praise me, you are extraordinarily welcome. But please forgive me. Okay. And that's all I have to say. Wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you
Jazakumullah
very,
khairan.
very much. Inshallah.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
You are most welcome. Maisara, thank you very much. Good Muslima.
Thank you very much, Prof.
You are welcome, Izawati.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes, thank you, all of you, so highly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.